I have a great idea,
But I'll
never do it. It might happen. Sure, the monkeys might fly out of my butt. I don't think so.
I don't see it happening.
Hey everybody, it's me, 1 year anniversary, Jon.
Yay! And 1 year anniversary, Louise.
And this is I have a great idea, but I'll never do it. And Louise, happy 1 year anniversary to us in this podcast.
1 year anniversary, us.
I
We
mean,
did it!
I feel like it means a lot more for when you're doing a podcast that is like once a week or even more than that. But we do it once every other week. Sometimes there's a little bit of more of a lag, but you know what? Those ideas, if you force them, they're not going to be great.
Right. That's my dog barking. There's somebody in the hallway.
Roland agrees.
Yeah. Also, I think sometimes that it was still a year of us coming up with ideas, making commitments to ourselves. Row dog. And we could have just thrown in the towel after the second episode, but
Yeah.
we didn't. We didn't even want to do this podcast in the first place. It was an idea that we had that we did do.
I know.
We
People
didn't
still
have
say
to.
that we're crazy for it.
It's true.
Or not. Nobody really tells me anything about this podcast. And then it's like, oh yeah, I listened to every episode. And it's like, oh, okay,
Well, I
that's
ran
a
into
surprise
somebody
to me.
recently and they said, I know that because of your podcast. And I was like, I can't even remember your name. You listen to my podcast? I've probably talked about it once.
Well, thank you all, everybody, for listening.
Yeah, listeners,
Whether
you're the
it's
best.
whether it's been for a year or if this is your first episode, we really appreciate it. And we are committed to bringing you the best in all of our great ideas that we're never going to do. And come on, guys, send us yours. 304-804 idea. Call them in, write them in. greatideapod@gmail.com. We want to hear from you because it's been a really long time since we've heard anything from you.
Do you want to know something, though? I see specific friends on a regular basis that constantly go, oh, I have this really great idea and I want to tell you about it. And I'm like, no,
Call
it in.
Yeah. Come on, you're all on your phones all the time anyway. Just call it in. You don't even have to use your name.
Yeah.
Anyway. I like your sweatshirt and its big, beefy,
Ties.
like, what do you call those?
Drawstring.
Drawstring. That's
Yeah,
right.
my hoodie I'm gonna like mess up my headphones, but like they are beefy. For anyone that can't see, and that might be everyone if we decide not to put this on YouTube, but these are like wider than my thumb, beefy drawstring ties.
Why are they so beefy?
I think it's the style.
Oh, I see. You know, going along with the theme of this show and ideas, it's just, you know, I think about those drawstrings on hooded sweatshirts all the time and how you wash that thing and unless like you think to like, you know, tie it in a knot before you wash it, it's inevitably going to get lost up in there. Or I'm about to have a kid and I know that kids pull on those things and it's just going to get like lost in the middle of the hood. Then you have to like spend 20 minutes like kind of fishing it out and like centimeter by centimeter just like caressing it down. And
That's why they had those really cool things on starter
Those
jackets,
little
the
nubs.
like buttons or nubs that
Yeah.
you like slid it up so it wouldn't go back up in there. You know what though? I just had a flash idea. Flash like in this moment. What if we had, here's an idea for style purposes only, beefy shoelaces.
beefy shoelace. Have we not gotten there yet?
Well, I
I
don't
feel
know.
like, was
Maybe
that
we
not like a
have.
90s style? I feel like that might have
all
been
right.
something.
All right, I'm late to the game.
Well, I feel like also in the 90s, people were kind of going crazy with shoelace ideas.
They sure
because
were.
there was that time, and this might have been even late 80s, but there were those like clips that kids would put on their shoes and the shoelaces at the top to like kind of keep it tight.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about? They were like little cartoon character faces,
Yeah.
basically.
I think it was also to keep them from untying.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's like, you don't see that anymore.
You don't. There's also stuff now that I think really intense runners use that are like little hooks that go in the eyelets, and then you take this little disc and go like click, 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 and ratchet it tighter. So
No
there's
way.
no lace at all. It's just like little clips in the eyelets so that when you're running, say 26.2 miles,
That sounds like a marathon's length.
or longer. Yeah. Well, really intense runners that
I've seen stickers on the back of cars that say that number.
You do not stop.
Right.
Well, it's much easier for a car to go that far.
It is. And there's no laces involved.
You could drive
I
that
could
car
do that right
barefoot.
now if I wanted to without even stretching.
Yeah. In fact, after you were done driving that 26.2 miles, you might want to get out of the car just to stretch.
Just to stretch those arms in the back a little bit. Ugh, driving is so tiring.
It really is.
Taxing on you. So, Louise,
Yeah.
how's it going? How have your past couple of weeks been?
I'm like in a daze. I don't even know that a couple of weeks went by. And next weekend I have a wedding to go to, not mine. And somebody said to me like, no, that wedding is Memorial Day weekend. And I said, yes, and that is next weekend.
Right.
Or depending on when this podcast goes up,
It'll go
that
up
is
today.
this weekend. Oh, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't even know where I am kind of right now. Everything in my world is kind of up in the air, juggle city. And I'm trying to have purposeful thoughts and transitions in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise it's just easy to get swept away with the current. I don't know if that's a good segue to my idea.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay,
Let's hear
here
it.
it is. And it's based on possible deception, which is
Okay.
Shades McShade, but maybe that's the world we're living in. Okay, I know we're really into apps on this
We
cast,
are.
but this one I think has a greater purpose. My grandmother, who I don't know because she was gone before I was born, went blind at the end of her life, and she had 6 kids, and a number of them who were still at home because I think the older ones were already at college, but they would have to help her with things because she couldn't see.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this past time of ideas, if you're blind but still really able to go about and do things, say walk yourself over to Alice's Teacup to buy a scone, and you hand the person a $20 bill,
Mm-hmm.
how do you know that the change you got was correct? Because in other countries, the bills are different sizes. In fact, in our country, the coins are different sizes. But
This is true.
what about the money? And so I was talking to my mom, and I said, what did your mom do? And she said, well, the blind people fold their money differently before putting it in their pocket so that they know if they're looking for a 5, it's folded in this way. If they're looking for a 10, it's folded in this way. And I said, but what happens when they get change? And she's like, well, the person says to them out loud, 12, 13, 14, 15, 20. So they know that they got, 3 ones and a 5
Right.
or whatever. And I said, but what if they say that and then they give them 4 $1 bills?
Sure.
So I did a little bit of research, which never happens on this show, but I did because I was like, because here's my idea. There would be some sort of recognition in your camera on your iPhone so that you could have it scan the dollar bill. Like, maybe you go back home from Alice's Teacup and you only live a couple blocks away and you put the bills out on the table and you use your scan on your phone and it'll recognize $1 bill. $5 bill, and it will tell you what it is, so then you can fold them in the way that you fold them. And then if they cheated you, you could walk the 2 blocks back because you wouldn't want to do that on the counter in a store because that is sort of telling the person, I don't trust you. But what if?
Well,
I mean, I don't know. So it would be a way to do that. Anyway, the research that I did was there are accessibility things on your iPhone that you like glide your hand over, and it'll say like Facebook, Maps, whatever. And then when you get to the one that you want, you can tell Siri, or you can even say like open camera app, and you force touch it and then it opens after it like dictates to you what app it is.
right.
But yeah, sort of like a money recognition for blind folks.
Well, I mean, I have a very non-technical idea for blind people and dealing with money.
Ask somebody you trust.
Only deal with singles. Right?
What? I mean, maybe, but I like it. What happens if you go to an ATM? Because those have like braille things on them, and then those only give 20s.
Those only give 20s, but then maybe go to a store or something, or like someone you trust and be like, hey, can you break this into singles for me? I'm blind and I don't trust anybody. And if you hand me singles, then I at least know that I am
One is
getting
one.
20 bills. And if one of them happens to be a 5, then I have more money than I'm not
Right.
being cheated out of anything.
Right.
I don't know.
That's a really low tech way. Yeah.
It's super low tech. Because then, if you go home, scan your bills, and then find out that you've been cheated or given the wrong change and go back, then what's to say that they're not going to be like, nuh-uh.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of places have cameras, and you could also say, I want to talk to a manager and explain the situation. But then a part of me also thinks, now that we're talking about it out loud, because when I had this idea, I was like, this is so great. But now that we're talking about it, I was thinking, well, then I guess you might just never go back to that establishment.
That's
You'd be like,
also
oh,
true.
those people are not good people. And then you just never go back. And you'd be like, and finding that out, that information would be worth the $3 I got duped.
Right. I don't know.
I don't
That's
know. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
I was trying to think of an idea that was going to help somebody that's not me, because a lot of my ideas are just like, how do I make
Selfish.
my life better?
Yeah, how do I find out what my dog is thinking?
I do wonder.
I know. We've talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
I don't have any ideas that are
Altruistic.
altruistic. I wouldn't say that any of them are selfish or relate to me specifically, but I have one that's been on here for a while, and
Okay.
it's marked as like not being discussed, but stop me if we have discussed this. But it is, and there very well could be something exactly like this, but a kind of clamp that attaches to like an arm that you attach to like your headboard on your bed frame or your just bed frame, that you can put like an iPad or whatever kind of tablet onto, so that you can lay in bed and just look
Yes.
up and watch whatever you want to watch,
Yeah.
or like do whatever you want to do, and not be like crooking your neck to watch a television or whatever.
Do you want to know something?
yeah.
Hey, let me just interrupt you and talk about me.
No, please.
Sometimes when I'm going to bed, I will like look at Pinterest and, silly things like different plants that I'll probably never buy or like, and have in my house, or just like, I don't know. Sometimes I have this Pinterest board called Nautical Nancy. It's a phase where I will just look at like an octopus wine bottle holder, or like seashells that say, bless this house, or whatever. I like to look at ship things. I don't know. Call me crazy. But I'm going to sleep and I'm holding my phone like in front of my face because it's dark and because I don't have my contacts in, so I can't see. And I'm laying on the pillow and my arms are like this. For those of you who can't see, I'm all crunched up with the phone in front of my face. My arm is acute angle, very tight into my ribs. And all of a sudden my fingers will start to tingle, because I'm cutting off circulation. I'm on my back, so it's like above my heart. So that's what they tell you if you ever like are bleeding, like if you get your hand cut off or whatever, or your fingers, like put your hands above your head because it's like harder to push the blood out or something. I don't know. But my fingers fall asleep, my arm falls asleep, and then I'm like, I'm not tired yet, but I have to like stretch out my arms so that I can continue to like look at my phone right in front of my face. But if I had a clamp, see you later. Have a good day. Chris is leaving.
Oh, bye, Chris.
That if I had a clamp over my headboard that was just holding it for me, then I could like swipe and then like look or like scroll or like you say, watch something. Mm-hmm. I have a question or just a comment. So you're sleeping. And you've fallen asleep watching like Netflix. Mm-hmm. And then you hear something in the middle of the night and it startles you. And you wake up. Thunk. And it like snocks your noggin.
Well, I don't know what to tell you about that. Just
Hit
one
my
of the hazards of owning such a piece of equipment, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, but I like it.
Okay, good. I can finally check that one off.
Yeah, it solves the fingers falling asleep problem. I love it. You
But
didn't even know I had that problem.
I didn't know you had that problem. But I've certainly been, up late at night and I'm like fiddling around with like my phone or something in front of my face and I just lose control of my fingers and drop my phone on my face. We've all been there.
We've all been there.
Let's all be honest here. We are not graceful people.
No.
Behind closed doors.
No.
Or in front of closed doors,
or in public.
For most of us. So yeah, it's just a utility to help us be who we are. Mm-hmm. Because, we can say all day long, once I go into the bedroom, it's a no phone zone and I'm not going to touch anything and I'm not going to like turn on any, blue light, whatever.
Then I am going to get up out of the no phone zone, walk over to the phone zone, and then fall asleep maybe on the couch with my phone.
Yeah. No bueno. No bueno.
No bueno.
No bueno. Yeah. So I feel like we need to just kind of take a moment, not talking about our great ideas. And I want to talk about a great idea from the past that I can't stop thinking about.
Okay.
This is kind of like our year in review in a way.
Okay.
Where there was an idea that you had for an app that was about when to water your succulents called
Yes.
Is It Raining in Phoenix?
Yeah. It's raining in Phoenix. Yeah.
And I think
and
about
you
it.
only water them when it rains in Phoenix.
And I think about it all the time. I've got succulents.
Yeah.
I never know when it's time to water them. And it's like, is it raining in Phoenix?
Yeah. You just got to check the weather. And the thing is like I have this program that Chris uses at work. It's called Slack. Okay. So on Slack, we've set up a weather alert for Phoenix. So when it rains, I get an alert on Slack that says it's raining in Phoenix.
So you've essentially created your app.
Through another app. Well, because I wasn't, yeah.
That's
I needed the
brilliant.
service. I needed this.
So you're able through Slack, because I use that for work also.
Yeah.
You use that. There's a way that when there is precipitation in Phoenix.
It's something like in Slackbot. I'll have to get it to you. But it's like how you can do like / Giphy and it'll scour the internet for the thing.
I have no idea how to use Slack.
Okay, so we need to talk about this.
It's a thing that we've been using, that like we have at work, that I never actually use. I've used it once and it was like just as good as sending a text message.
Right. But it's in real time, and also sometimes you need to like tell your whole team, and sometimes you only need to tell one person. And so instead of sending a text, which is totally private, or instead of sending a group text, which then you have 20 texts that you need to go through and read all of them, or emails are the same way. You can sort of like tell the team what the team needs to know, and then everybody on the team's like, oh yeah, I got it. Or the one person Anyway, there's a bot. Ours, I think, is called Slackbot. I don't know if we called it that or if it's just called that.
Okay.
But you can make it do stuff. And one of the things that we made it do was when the weather currently, not the forecast, but when the weather currently is rain in Phoenix, it'll send me an alert as if it's a message from a person. And then I'm like, I got to water my plants.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so great. I just wanted to let you know that the ideas that you have told me about, they sink in with me, and I think about them regularly as part of my everyday life.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Listeners, if you also don't have any new ideas, but then just want to call in and tell us how much you think about our Baskin-Robbins hummus,
Yeah.
brick and mortar, I mean, call in and just say, I heard that and it really sunk in with me. It resonated, that hummus place. And I want a pita cone and a scoop of hummus.
Along those lines, I have a question for you.
Along the hummus lines?
Along the hummus lines. In one sitting, how much hummus do you think you could eat? And let's think of it in terms of ice cream scoops.
Okay. 2.
That seems like a lot of hummus. And I'm saying that acknowledging that I would easily blast through even more of that.
It seems like a lot of hummus, but I don't think it is, because sometimes I will open a hummus container, and I'm not talking about one that's the size of a compact disc. For the kids out there, that's what we had before MP3s. I'm talking about like a larger tub of hummus, and I'll think, it's an hour before I'm supposed to meet those people for dinner. I don't know how long the wait's going to be at the restaurant. Then I don't know how long it's going to take the waitress to come over and actually take our order. I should have a snack so I don't get hangry. Cut to 5 minutes later, and I'm like swiping my finger along the plastic, getting the last final scoops out, and I'm like, holy shit, how did I just eat this entire tub? But it's delicious.
Yeah.
And a lot simpler to go down than you think.
You know, I had to
slides down the old gullet.
It's true. It's really nasty and so delicious.
No, it was delicious.
I had to stop myself from buying hummus recently because I felt like I wouldn't have enough self-control to not eat the entire thing of it.
Yes.
And I feel like that's not a way to go through life.
Well, what I have started to do is buy the regular sized, compact disc sized, smaller tubs of hummus of varying flavors, because if I think, I'm going to eat so much hummus, I should get the family size, like jumbo tub.
Yeah.
I'll just eat the entire jumbo tub.
Yeah.
And at least if I get to the moment where the smaller one is empty, I'm like, I guess I should stop. It's empty.
Okay, here is an idea. And a lot of people probably do this. And I think that it's something that I would benefit from. And maybe also you. Unless you are perfectly happy with the hummus consumption in your life. But I think that for myself, I need to get small little containers. Let's just call them Tupperware containers for
this. Yeah.
Yeah. Not necessarily Tupperware brand, but just like small containers, big thing of hummus, and dollop it out into like the little single serving containers.
Yeah.
So that it's like
meal prep,
I have no
but hummus.
What's that?
It's like meal prep when people
It's like meal prep with just
hummus though.
Because I know that I can't control myself.
It's hard.
It's a real struggle.
I do it without even thinking.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes if I go grocery shopping and I get the hummus, and then after putting all the groceries away, I'll be like, I need a tasty snack, and I'll get out the hummus. And then Chris will come home and be like, you forgot to buy the hummus. When really, I just ate it all.
And then do you say like, oh no, you're right.
I
Don't
did
look in the
forget
trash.
hummus.
Oh man, we have a problem.
Or do we?
No, we have a problem. So, what else do you have going on ideas-wise?
Okay.
In that old brain of yours.
This is what I've come up with. people are constantly asking me, like, but what do you want to do? Like, and I think about my life, or for work or for money or whatever, like, what's the next step in that? And you got to find some sort of like balance with what your dreams are and what you do for money. And we're coming up on Memorial Day, which a lot of people, including me, often confuse with Labor Day, but it's just because it's a 3-day weekend that happens around summer. Just one's the beginning and one's the end. One of them they're dead, one of them they're alive. Right. And one's in the spring and one's in the fall, but it's the 3-day weekend bordering bookmarking summers.
Right. Yeah.
So last Labor Day, we went to a B&B upstate, and we went to a farmer's market, and there was a bunch of people who had recently, and I say recently, but in the last like 5 or 10 years, opened a distillery where they were making whiskey from maple syrup.
Huh.
I know. And I was like, what? And the woman who was at the counter, or the foldable cardboard table or whatever, was like, my son was actually, he'd moved back home after college, and all of our relatives and neighbors were like, you know, what are you going to do with your life? And he was like, arms up, like, I give up. Like, this job market, this world we're living in, what I really want to do is make booze. And anyway, it's delicious. And then after we went to that farmer's market, we went to this really tiny Micro-Brew, which was also delicious, and we had a beer there, a flight, many beers. And we were talking to the owners because they were there, and they're like, yeah, we finally, first it started and we were in somebody's little garage, and then we had rented out this barn, but now we have a storefront, and it's just like sort of taking off. And I personally think America has trash beer. Trash. But microbreweries, that stuff gets delicious.
Yeah.
I know the idea is for all of those microbreweries to get big enough so that they distribute far and wide. But by the time it gets distributed far and wide, we're talking about Coors Light and Bud Light, and I can't get on that train. So, bringing it all back around, people college age starting microbrews, starting whiskey distilleries. It's called Booze Hound.
Okay.
And it's where I concoct tasty, delicious liquid treats for your dogs. You can have carrot flavored. You can have sweet potato flavored. You can have peanut butter flavored. But it's like your dog gets just a tasty
Craft beverage.
Craft beverage.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
That's your calling.
That's just what I want to do to make money in the meantime. Because come on. It's a micro-brew for your
Poochie-Poo.
For your Poochie-Poo. Oh. Yeah. Well, I just think of all these people making weird money from subscription, wine companies where they send you a bottle of wine and a dog toy, and it's, called whatever, or like just a dog subscription thing where they send you 3 different kinds of treats and 3 different chew toys or whatever. And I'm like, I gotta do something with dogs and booze.
But not booze for the dogs.
No. It's
beverages.
Yeah. Because that's not good for dogs. But I just mean, like, what do people spend money on? Because we all want there to be better things in the world for everyone. Say, tents that are waterproof for refugees, or for those refugees to actually be contributing citizens somewhere with jobs, paying taxes, living not... I mean, we do. We want that. We want that so hard. But that's not what people really spend their money on.
That's correct. They spend money on their dogs.
They do. So
dogs
really,
are great.
Commercialism has sunk its dirty fangs into my teeth, and that's weird. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah.
Well, or we can kind of rattle off on that for a bit, where it's, maybe it's a dog food company, and there are probably some that do this, but a dog food company where, a percentage of the
one for one,
proceeds
yeah,
go to, refugee support.
right. Well, and Roland agrees.
Yes.
You hear him go. Burp. Well, because I was thinking, I started listening to this podcast. Now I can't remember what it's called, but it asks the question: when people try to help, are they actually helping? Mm-hmm. And one of the episodes I was just listening to were these food boxes that are basically donation based, mm-hmm. that they send as aid to Syria, or not Syria, but Lebanon, for Syrian refugees. But it's kind of like you go and you stand in line and you pick up your ration and mm-hmm. you take it back to wherever you are. But what happens if you're a single dude and you take your box that you're allotted and then you go? And what happens if you're a father of 3 and your mother-in-law is with you and you can't, she's too old, or she broke her leg and there's no doctor, so she can't walk and get her own box, or the children are too young to also come and get their boxes. So now you're splitting one box between like 7 people because mm-hmm. the other people can't come with you. Or how do you know it's not dangerous to go stand in line because people are, elbowing you and pushing you out of the way and you don't want your kids to be there or whatever. So anyway, the podcast basically said that instead of giving these handouts, which are donation based, mm-hmm. In the first place, and who knows when that'll stop, giving all of the refugees, in essence, like debit cards, and putting X amount of dollars on them so that they can go to the local store and buy the food that they want, or get that money, and maybe it gets cold, and so instead of right. The cigarettes that they buy a blanket for the winter months. Anyway, the point is, somebody said, well, that's basically sort of like a food stamp program. And then what about mm-hmm. the actual people living in the country who are also in poverty that don't get that money on their debit card for like no mm-hmm. reason? Anyway, it was just sort of like it's a podcast about people trying to help and change the world, but also, is that help really helping?
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know how we got on this. Dogs.
Giving back.
Booze hounds giving back.
Man, did you think that was going to go off into that whole little tailspin?
Sorry. I just got really excited, and then
That's
I just
okay.
couldn't stop.
I'm trying to think of a way to smoothly get into this plug that I want to give, but I don't think there's a way.
Just hop in.
If you do have money that you want to spend, I guess that's how we're going to do it. Right now, you can actually pre-order a documentary. Oh, yeah, Louise knows what I'm talking about.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's about past guest Mayor, just kidding, not Mayor. My brother Scott. There's a documentary about him called Scott's Pizza Tours. And it's on pre-order right now on iTunes and all. I don't know, maybe all of the other things that you can pre-order movies on, but you should definitely check it out. It's cool. He's a crazy dude. You may have seen him in the news this past week because I think Washington Post talked to him about that like Apple pizza box design. Yeah, so of course they talked to him about it. So anyway, I believe in the next week or so the movie's being officially released, but it's on pre-order right now, so check that out. And
I contributed on the Kickstarter, so I got a pre-release viewing.
It's true, and I'm in it.
Whoa, that's right.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Wearing some pretty sweet T-shirts.
Yeah.
Did you play? Did he approve those, or did you just show up that day wearing that?
I don't remember what I was wearing.
Okay. Now, do you want me to tell you, or do you want me to not tell you?
You could say it. I don't know.
Here's a hint. Hello.
Oh, I was wearing my Mrs. Doubtfire shirt. Okay. There was no approval process, but that's what's happening. But yeah, he's a crazy dude who had a great idea and did it, and we are all enjoying the benefits of having a pizza expert in our lives. as a result. So check that out. Also, as kind of we have been in this podcast game for a year type of situation, we decided to maybe do a few things. Oh, hi, Roland. How's it going, buddy?
He can just sit on my lap for 1 second.
Oh my God, he's sniffing the microphone. He's so cute.
He was digging a hole in his bed because he wants me to pick up the sheet to put him in it to burrow. But I can't reach the sheet, so now I had to just call him over.
Fair enough. I like looking at that guy. He's got a good face. But what I was saying is that as a special, we've been doing this for 1 year kind of thing. We actually are going to be working with Scout Books to create great idea journals.
Hey!
Yeah, so those should be ready any day now. And Louise, you and I still need to figure out what the purchasing plan is for that type of thing. But if you are interested in it, send us an email, greatideapod@gmail.com, and we'll talk about how we can get you one. You know,
How you can get your grubby little paws on one.
Yeah, they're so cool. You know, it's just a little idea journal, or you can use it for whatever you want. Grocery lists, doodle pad, whatever you want. But yeah, we just wanted to do something that was a little fun, and working with Scout Books is really cool. Speaking of Scott, they do his pizza journals that you can find all over the place. If you're at a pizzeria and you see a little like pocket pizza journal, that is a collaborative effort between my brother Scott and Scout Books, and Scout Books is based here in Portland, and they're awesome and they're really cool and I like them a lot. So they're helping us out with these, and it's going to be really neat.
And if you are in the New York City area and you go on a pizza tour, I believe you get one on the tour.
That is right, in your little goodie bag.
Yeah, so that you can also like write down your experiences of the pizza places that you visit.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Hey, Louise.
Yeah.
Should we talk about our challenges from last time?
Let's do it!
All right, I'll go first.
Okay.
So you challenged me to come up with an idea about hammocks, and you also sent me a wonderful picture of a hammock over the course of the past couple weeks. I had a couple of... Oh, I'll tell you like my main idea, and then I'll tell you about kind of like a little bit of a weirder one. But the main one is... I was thinking about it because we are in like music festival season, and the whole Fire Festival thing was going on that everyone's been talking about, that huge crazy luxury music festival gone awry. What if there was a music festival where, instead of like everyone just like milling about and going up to different like tents and drinking and getting dehydrated and all that stuff, the idea was that everybody sets up little hammock stations and you enjoy the music festival, because that's what hopefully you're there for, is the music. And you just kind of like swinging and swaying on your hammocks at Hammock Fest. Yeah.
Also, you could wrap up in it cocoon style and still hear the music, but not get sunburned.
Ooh, interesting. Well, yeah, depending on what your hammock is made of.
Right.
Yeah. Or you could get a crazy like sunburn pattern of like a netting.
Oh, it's like a temporary tattoo. If you like wanted to pretend you were at the festival.
That would actually also be a really cool hammock idea, is a hammock that has like, I guess like a solid thing that has like kind of a clear cutout that you put over parts of your body, and it like tans in the different designs or burns in, depending on how careful you are. If you fall asleep. Yeah, if you fall asleep.
If you fall asleep.
My other hammock idea was more like a company called Reeking Hammock, and it's a bunch of different prank hammocks. So maybe one of them is like you're having a barbecue and you're like, hey, go hang out on the hammock, and you have like your little trick hammock and someone goes on it, and then like in the middle it just kind of like plops him down into a pool or something like that. I don't know.
Or like an old time cartoon, like a Looney Tunes, where you're like chill out in the hammock, and then it like triggers and it pulls them up, so they're like hanging in like a. It's the opposite of a dunk tank. It's like a hammock lift.
Ooh, that's really fun. Yeah, or talking about cartoons, each of the little, let's say it's on kind of like one of those bracket things. Each end is on like a little motor, and they twist in opposite directions, and it just kind of like cocoons the person up.
Or they twist in the same direction, and you're swinging and you're doing fine, and then it goes like boop and like tosses you out.
And then we're in dunk tank fashion.
Mm-hmm. Or if it's like a wet paint on a park bench scenario where you're like, go hang out in my hammock, and then it like gives you those lines, but I don't like it. Reeking hammock.
Yeah, I don't know. Good. Hammock is a tough one because I feel like from the get-go, hammocks have been perfected.
They are quite good.
Like, okay, let's talk about probably the first hammocks. They might have been just, one end is tied to a different tree or whatever, and then you get in and it's kind of like you're cocooned up a little bit, but it's all good. And then they kind of made the ones where there's the bar going across on each side, so it's a little bit more civilized.
Like a sheet of fabric rather than the netting.
Right, yeah. And there's those bracket systems that you can set up, and you don't have to rely on trees nearby.
There's also ones that are like for a chair, like you put a cushion on the back and the cushion on the front, instead of it being like you have to lay down in a banana shaped thing. It's like it's a chair, but
yeah. And then even more recently, and these I am not a fan of, and they look crazy, but it's those things that you see people like, it almost looks like a parachute, and you kind of pull it through the air and it feels like it inflates itself just by like kind of pulling it, and then you tie it up or whatever, and it's
like
little,
a lay bag.
Yeah, it's this little like cushiony thing, and that's kind of hammocky, but those things are so dumb looking. I'm sorry, I can't do that. I can't be down with that.
I also, as somebody who is a city dweller, don't like it when people have them, because you're going to kill the grass. Like the grass that we have is so minimal to begin with. You put that tarpy thing on the grass, it's just going to kill the grass.
Yeah. So anyway, those are my thoughts on hammocks.
I like it.
Yeah. What did I challenge you to?
I was challenged to sweat solutions.
Oh, sweat solutions. That's right.
So I'm not going to lie, as excited about this challenge as other ones, even though some of the ones in the past have been like, how am I going to do this? And then me say like, it's terrible, and come up with like 5. This time I was like, but what really? So sweat solutions, there's these things in the ladies' universe called rice paper. And they come in like a tiny wallet-sized business card. And so when you're sweating, you take out a sheet of it, and it's got this like very fine powder on this piece of rice paper, and you blot the sweat off your face so that it doesn't like wipe your makeup off. It's like the dust absorbs. Okay. So rice paper makeup blotting packages, but for your pitters.
Oh.
So that when you start to notice, like, it's pretty warm in here, what am I going to do? You take out the paper, you can sort of like do it under the front part of your shirt, because that's like where most of us get sort of like sweat lines, is like in our pits, and like on, some people get like a heart shape on their chest, some people get like stripes, but if you blot it away with a powder covered piece of paper to absorb it and stop it, then maybe you don't get the sweat marks or the lines because you're taking care of it. Second idea, other than the blotting, and those can also have different scents or flavors. Flavors, gross scents. You could have like a refreshing lime or eucalyptus, or you could also have whatever clean linen or whatever scents happen to be. The other idea I had is, tell me if I'm totally crazy, but I've definitely been there because I am a garlic lover. That I will consume so much garlic and then go sweat in, say, a fitness class or run in the park and be like, very garlicky. So it's a tablet that you take with different sort of scents. So I'm trying to think of what it used to be called, but they have them for your breath, where you take a tablet and you swallow it and it, whatever it does in your stomach, so that it like comes back up through you, so you don't have like weird garlic breath or garlic burps. But a tablet like that you would take, not necessarily when you've had garlic, but something to make it, when you sweat it out, smell like clean linens or
Ooh, interesting. Really
citrus.
Messing with your body's chemistry. I'm into it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if that is the worst thing you're doing, you are living a straight edge life.
That is a body hack, and I'm into it.
Yeah, because how great would it be to like, or people when they consume a lot of alcohol and then go to a group fitness class, you can like smell it in the sweat out of their body. But how great would it be if you were like, Irish Spring, very lovely, or if you were like,
I have a question for you, as somebody who
which
has
doesn't
worked.
stop the sweat but makes it smell better.
Sure. As somebody who has worked in the world of fitness, question for you.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about moisture wicking clothing?
I like it on the way that it feels on my body. I think people misuse it. For instance, if you are running outside on an August day when it's 100 degrees and 90% humidity, and you're wearing a cotton tank top, not only is that going to get wet in a second and then become a little heavier, if whatever, there's also like incredible possibility for chafing. Whereas like a moisture wicking fabric is made to pull it away from your skin. I think a lot of people use it. I don't know if this is like really gross, but sort of like a weird sponge. Like rather than, because look, people are going to do what people are going to do. But when I was part of the fitness world, would work out, take the clothes off and change into something else immediately. Right when I was done, get that stuff off of my body, put something on that's dry and clean.
Yeah.
But some people would leave spin class in their sweaty spin clothes, having swamp butt and everything, and be like, let's go to brunch. And you can't. It's not a swimsuit that you can go back in the pool or back in the ocean or whatever.
Right.
Like it's not that. Even then, that's like diluting the sweat and changing bacteria and breathing in a different way than moisture wicking fabric does, where then you're just sitting in your own bacteria. I mean, It gets real crazy. Also, I think as much as it pulls the moisture away from your body, it locks it in the fiber of the clothes. So no matter how much you think that you soak it or wash it or whatever, it starts to, the sweat molecules, the salt in them, start to break down the fabric, so then it's not moisture wicking as well, and it's trapping that. It's not only breaking down the fibers of the fabric, but it's also trapping the bacteria. So you can think it's clean, and then you put it on to wear it to class, and then the second you start sweating, you're also releasing all of the sweat from the previous times that you've worn it. It's nasty.
Whoa.
But for the most part, I enjoy moisture wicking because I don't want that on my body, the sweat. And if we go back to like caveman times, you would just be naked.
Right.
You'd be like, this is wet. And then you just wouldn't wear clothes.
But that's their skin.
Right. But I mean like for the opportunity for chafing or for.
Yeah. So I asked that because, and I don't know what this has to do with great ideas, but whatever. I asked that because the times that I have like gone for a run where I am intending to work out. I don't know if I'd even call it working out if it's just like a little jog. That just seems like working out to me is like pumping iron. But
A jog is working out.
Yeah. So going for a run or whatever, which I hate doing, I feel like the sweat is an indication for me like, ooh, it's starting to work. Like I'm actually doing something, and it's like an encouragement to like keep going. And the more my clothing is saturated in sweat, it's kind of like a progress bar where it's like 0% is dry, 100% is soaking wet. So it's like moisture wicking clothing. I think that for people who work out every single day or, do take spin classes and things like that, sure, I get it. But I see so many people wearing like athletic moisture wicking clothing all the time, and it's like, it doesn't appear as if you are exercising. Why not wear regular clothing? And then if you decide to exercise a little bit, wear it as a badge of courage. It's sweat. It's natural. It's like an okay thing. I don't know.
Two things.
Yeah.
There's a new fashion thing, and I say new based on the amount of time that people have been wearing clothing, not new like it just happened. But in the past, 100 years. Because people didn't wear clothes before 100 years ago.
It's true.
No. But it's called athleisure.
Are you
so
kidding
it's
me?
like, no, it's called athleisure. So the style is to wear workout clothes, but that are trendier than like what a bodybuilder wears so there's like, it's like, how there's business casual, black tie, athleisure. So that's A, which is the people you're probably seeing who are like wearing workout clothes but not working out. Athleisure. Thing number 2, we got to somehow, me and you, not we the listeners and everything, but just a common misconception for people is to base the amount of sweat on the intensity of their workout. Chris, and I'm sure he won't mind, comes from a family of really intense sweaters. Like I come from a family who like doesn't really sweat all too much. Like I used to be able to do a 45-minute intense indoor cardio cycling thing, and my clothes wouldn't be that wet. Now, there are a number of signifiers. The room is too cold. I have too much sodium in my diet where I'm dehydrated. I'm not releasing enough water, XYZ. But you can be in New York City on an August day and walk out your front door and immediately start to sweat. Now, you've taken 3 steps out of your door. You're not working out. You're just sweating. You're just hot.
I will say this. For me personally, if it is 100 degrees out and humid, I'm not going for a jog.
Right.
That's when, if I was that driven to move my body quickly, I would, go to join a gym or something where it is climate controlled, and then my sweat barometer certainly means something again.
Right. But I mean, you say that, but then on an August day at 2:00 in the afternoon in the beating sunshine on a day with 104-degree heat index,
I'm going to the
and
movies.
100% humidity, bitches be running in the park. And I'm like, what the hell? You're going to give yourself like a heart attack. Like
Right?
I'm going to have to like call 911 for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One last thing about sweat, just because it's fresh in my mind. But yesterday, my handyman Thor, that's his real name, was over to help me with a few things, and that dude can sweat. He had to change his shirt after like an hour, and he probably would have had to change it a few more times had he had extra changes of clothing. But man,
He must be a sweater. He is one
hell of a sweater. And he kept on apologizing for it, and I was like, dude, don't worry about it. It's all good. It's natural. Be free with your sweat. Don't feel like it's something to be embarrassed about.
No.
Wear it as your badge of courage.
Talking about weird things that people are embarrassed about, society is so crazy. Like, I listen to podcasts. I have my own podcast, but I'm into listening to others. And I recently, when I was listening to, was talking about child rearing and how it like did a complete 180 from the Victorian era to like what happened right after that. And in the Victorian era, they were like, do not touch your children, do not hug your children, definitely do not kiss them. And if you do need to do that, one kiss on the forehead when you put them to sleep. But I think it had something to do with like the Victorian age was like people were all buttoned up, and the way medicine worked was like, you've got the vapors and like whatever, like what the hell was that? And everybody's in like boots, and if you saw somebody's ankle, it was scandalous and like whatever. And then like the era that happened right after that was like skin to skin, don't ever let your baby go. Like having your baby near you at all times is like just better for your baby. And it's like, what society? So sweating, not sweating.
Yeah.
Let's just be bigger things, you guys.
And also it's like when someone's just like, oh, sorry, I'm sweating so much I must reek. It's just like, that's just you being you.
Also,
you being a human.
What if you weren't sorry and you can't stop it? Like, it doesn't matter if you're sorry or not sorry. It's a thing that you can't control.
It's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah.
That's all. I appreciate that you acknowledge that what is happening might affect me. But if you can control it, maybe, because then that's a choice, apologize about it. But if it's something that's happening that you can't, Although I say that out loud to you now, and then my brain immediately goes to farting. I get, if you can't control it, okay, it does affect me. Acknowledgement of that does make me feel better. But it's natural.
Yeah, if you're just like, sorry, just having a really farty day.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's temporary. It's not like somebody farts and then it lingers for the next hour.
Yeah.
And if it does,
go to the doctor. But
go to the doctor.
Yeah, but it's like, just so you know, you might want to steer clear of me for an hour.
Crack a window.
Yeah. Then we're all good. All right, well, let's talk about challenges for the next episode, shall we?
Okay, let's do it.
All right. There's not going to be any reason to hide it, but I thought of this earlier on in the episode, but shoelaces.
Shoelaces.
Hey,
okay,
you got excited about something.
I did. Oh, I get excited about almost everything.
Oh, yeah, but not the sweat idea. Not the sweat challenge.
It's natural. What's the solution there? It's so
be
natural.
Free. Yeah.
Okay.
So shoelaces.
So yours is hot hand solutions. Not that your actual hands are hot, but like the edge of pans,
right?
A curling iron, a mug out of the microwave, something other than. You know what? I'm going to leave it.
Yeah.
That's
okay,
it.
Cool.
Hot hands in whatever capacity.
Hot hands.
Great.
I like it. All right. Well, Louise.
Happy
anniversary. Thank you so much for doing this with me for at least a year. And I look forward to all the other years that we do this, hopefully. And,
and listeners, if you enjoy this podcast and if you enjoy Jon and Louise, stay tuned, because we've been a-brewing some other ideas that we said we probably will do for additional podcasting in the future. That's all the teaser I want to drop.
And if you are interested in the Great Idea Journals, give us a shout, greatideapod@gmail.com. or write in your ideas, call them into 304-804-IDEA. We'll play them on the show. And
Follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, at Great Idea Pod is everything and everywhere. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for hanging out, Louise.
Thanks for hanging out.
All right, bye.
Bye.
I don't see it happening.